Hello, everybody. I'm Mark Bay. I'm one of the market segment managers with Makino. We are here at Makino's Center of Excellence in Auburn Hills, Michigan. And I'm here with Robert.
Yeah, I'm Robert Edinburgh. I'm an application engineer here at Makino. I'm with the EDM department, and I'm stationed out of the Auburn Hills office.
And today we're here to talk about EDM tapped holes.
Yes.
And how to program them on our sinkers, some considerations about electrode material selection. And yeah, if you can take us through that, Robert, that would be very helpful.
Give you a small little demonstration of how we could program that and the ease of it.
Thank you.
So when you're starting out, you go to our project programming. You can open a new program up, and then just follow the tabs to see exactly what you want to pick. Or in this case, we want to do tapping. We pick tapping. We tell it what type of material we are going to be actually tapping into, and the material that we're going to be, the electrode is made out of. There's all kinds of different material depending on what you're doing. This today, we're going to be using C3, which is copper impregnated graphite. You could also be using graphite. You could be using just plain copper. You can be using copper tungsten if you had a carbide block or something like that. After we pick the material that we're using, we come over, we pick our size by just getting into the drop-down box. We're going to, in this instance, we're doing an M5. The depth that we're going to be going in, the finish requirement that we want, depending on what you want to do. In this case, we're going to go for a VDI of 17, which is take us out to a finishing process of 13. So then we'll move on to the orbit set. We see there are some options. They gray them right out because you're not allowed to pick them because it's a circle. We want to make sure we're picking a circle and not something that it can't do like a spear or something like that. All right. The biggest thing is when we're doing tapping is we need to have the correct reduction in them.
How do you calculate that?
So the way we calculate reduction here is we take our electrode that we're going to be using and we take our bolt or say our thread gauge or whatever it is that you're using, you're going to be threading into it. Okay. We take the thread, the bolt, which in this case is a 192. And we're going to take our electrode, which is a 166. Okay. So that's going to be a difference of 26 thou. We divide that in half. So we come up with 13 thou. So we have a reduction of 13 thou. But we are going to have wear on it. And our general rule of thumb is that we're going to use 2 thou of wear. So we're going to make that 13 into 15 thou. So we come here, we put a 15 thou reduction into it, and that will allow it to orbit. And when it orbits, it's going to orbit circular, not rotate. It's never going to rotate. It's going to orbit circular, and it's going to walk itself out, everything out to that 15 thou to give you the desired size.
And is that universal to all Makino sinkers?
So that is a general universal start to your size. So we don't want to overburn it because you can't add material to it, right? But we can always take a little bit more out. So if that's a general start position, if we do need to take another thou or 2 out, you would generally just kind of come in here and say, okay, I want to take out another thou per side. So we're going to take that to 16, and then we just rerun the program again. Then it will open it up until you get that desired fit into it. Okay? So after we found that reduction, we're going to move on. We'll see that there's a lot of things that are grayed out. Now we'll put our tank type in, our machining, and it's going to give us our technology that we're going to use here. Then we're going to move on to our positioning screen. We'll see that all our information is still up here for our tapping and what we're actually doing. We're going to come over here, put position, our XY is going to be in the middle of our hole that we've already done. And just so that you know, when a hole gets put in there for EDM, it's no different than your standard tap chart.
It's the same diameter choice.
Yep, exactly the same. Doesn't work any different. We're going to give it our depth. We're going to go down 1 inch, and we're going to put 1 inch of thread inside of the block. All right. So once we're done with that, we come over to our electrode. We pick out which one we want. We can do a finished electrode because we're only going to use one electrode. And if that one wears out and we got to put another one in, then it just reruns as the same one electrode each time. So we hit our save again. Now the program is now created. It has been saved. If you want to transfer it out to go look at it, we can do that. If we come here, open up, and there's our program that we just wrote. for the tapping.
Thank you, Robert, for taking us through this process. Now, some folks may be asking, why even EDM a tap rather than in traditional machining?
Well, if you imagine, I mean, I know these mistakes never happen, but you forgot a hole, and it is a tapped hole, and you've already set it out, got a heat treat, and it's a hardened block. Well, that can be really difficult. So you throw it on the EDM, and we'll be able to tap that hardened block like it's nothing. It's very simple to do. So that's the one instance where you would do that.
Okay. And, we were looking at the different electrode choices, right, during the programming process. So I think we had just graphite, copper impregnated graphite. We had copper tungsten. Do we have like recommendations, like depending on the material that you burn into, which one of those electrode materials should be used?
Right. So if you're burning something like a hard alloy, such as carbide, you're going to want to use a copper tungsten. It's going to be more durable and allow you to get a finish and not wear it bad on it. If you're burning something that you just need it to be burned out and burned out quickly, really deep, then you might be able to burn out with the graphite, because it's going to wear away, but it's a lot cheaper than it is the copper. But if you need a really good finish on those threads or something, then you're going to want to use copper to try to achieve that. So it just matters your preference of what you do and what your tolerance is and things like that.
Yeah. And then the copper graphite, that's kind of going to fall in the middle between graphite and copper.
Yeah, so generally we like to use the C3 or the copper impregnated graphite because it kind of gives us the best of both worlds. It burns really well and gives a decent finish on it and doesn't wear too heavily.
Okay, great. All right. Thank you again, Robert. Really appreciate it. And we will open it up for questions now. Thank you, everybody. Hi, Mike. Hi, Brian. So for anybody who has questions, as the slide shows, you can add it to the chat or to the Q&A. But we have a couple that came in during the broadcast. And the first one is, if you can explain again how you calculate the undersize.
Okay, so that's a very good question. To calculate the undersize, usually you would use pitch diameter. So you'd know or look up the pitch diameter of the final thread and measure the pitch diameter on your electrode and basically get the difference and divide that in half, plus add another 0.002 to compensate for wear and give a little clearance. And that's how you get the undersize.
All right, thank you. And one more question is, could you explain why we want to use copper tungsten electrodes for carbide?
Yeah, definitely. So copper tungsten for carbide is going to hold up much, much better than any other material. You're going to put a lot of heat into that burn to burn carbide, and you're making a fine geometry with the thread. So you need the wear resistance that the copper tungsten gives you.
Yeah, excellent.
Hey, Mike, I got a question just to follow up on the first question there. So the 2 thou, that is for clearance for the thread, right? Is that the idea there, that extra 2 thou?
Yeah, a little clearance for the thread and a little bit for the wear.
Okay.
You'll have a slight amount of wear on those flanks on your threads.
Okay, and so what Robert was talking about, changing your orbit amount, you would do that, let's say if I was doing multiple taps and I could just simply change my orbit amount to do multiple holes with the same electrode as it wears, right?
Yes. Yeah. If your electrode stays in good condition, so you're not making wavy flanks on your threads,
Right.
That's
as long as I got good detail, right?
as long as you have good detail.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Although Mark, you're muted.
Thank you everybody for attending again. And Brian and Mike, thank you for your help in answering these questions. And now please go to the Makino YouTube channel. And there are a number of additional ECs as well as tech tips, not just out of the EDM world. Go and take a look. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.